First of all, have you registered for the Property and Finance Summit? Because if you haven't, registrations are piling up and you may miss out on your place. Remember, this is taking place on December the 1st to the 2nd in central London, where we'll be discussing what is going on right now in the private rental sector and what you need to do as a landlord and an investor to ensure that you are ahead of the curve for 2018 through to 2020. So if you've not registered your place already, go to yourhmoexpert.com/events and register right away. Now, let's look at ECB. So the European Central Bank this weekend voted to remain at the current interest rates and not increase them at all, which is good news. However, at the same time, they decided to reduce the amount of quantitative easing within the system. So we're going to have to watch to see what this does in terms of impacting on overall inflation to see if they're going to increase those interest rates later on in the year. Now at the same time, the government have got lots of legislation planned as always, and one of them which is coming in next year, which for some people you may have forgotten about, is the minimum energy efficiency standards. Now this applies to commercial buildings. So this is anything where you've got a shop or an office that's in some kind of commercial facility where from April 2018, which is only 6 months away, you have to maintain an EPC of a minimum of F or G. So if you've got a commercial property, go and check out the EPC right now and make sure that you are going to be having that from next year, because if you don't have it, you will not be able to renew a lease, nor will you be able to take on a new tenant. Now in other news, the RLA recently met with the government to discuss rental payments. Now you may be aware that credit scoring in the UK typically does not include rental payments, but there is a large pressure both from tenant groups and also landlord groups to introduce rental payments into the credit scoring mechanism. This is good news on two fronts. Firstly, it will allow tenants who have perhaps rented for 5 or 10 years or however long to actually build up some kind of credit history. So when they apply for a mortgage, that's taken into consideration. And secondly, and most importantly really for landlords, is that if rental payments are missed, that potentially will show as a negative on a tenant's credit report, thus ensuring that rental payments should hopefully become more stable and less arrears will be entered into. Now, as you'll be aware, there's a lot of legislation in the private rental sector, and here's 3 new ones that the Tories are potentially going to introduce. The first one is 12-month tenancies, which I actually think is a good idea, both from the tenant point of view in terms of peace of mind, and from the landlord perspective in terms of long-term cash flow. The second piece that they're looking to introduce is compulsory membership of an ombudsman scheme, so a redress scheme, so to speak. And I think this is also excellent news because it will drive out the rogue landlords. Letting agents already need to be part of one of these schemes, and by making landlords also be part of the scheme, it's going to just improve standards in the sector. And the third piece which they're also considering, which is something that I've also recommended in our Future of HMO's white paper, is introducing housing courts. So this would be more of a tribunal type of situation, whereas rather than having to wait 6 to 8 weeks to see a judge, you'll be able to get access a lot quicker to somebody that can look at your case and rule on it. Now these are all things that they're looking at and they are to come, but let's keep a close eye on this because I think this will help the sector enormously. So that's all for this week's edition of Property TV. As always, if you have any comments, feedback, anything you'd like to feature, please do comment on our videos or write into us, and we'll be happy to cover a subject that you propose to us in a future edition. Thanks very much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.